Okay, hello. My name is Daniel Gies. I'm the creative and technical director at e.d.Films. Doing yet another unofficial stream. We're still a little bit from having a clear schedule as we wrap up these last couple of projects. This particular stream, we're going to continue building this bicycle that we have here. I guess I'll put my face on here for you. We're going to continue building this bicycle and the cyclist that goes with it. So we have this guy that we need to rig here for a scene in Let There Be Light. So far what we've done is we've rigged up the pedals and we've made the bike a bit 3D looking for a bit of parallax effect and a bit of depth. And we've started giving some animation to the little back engine piece. As you can see, it's wiggling around. So if you're curious about that, you can check out the previous stream, but we're going to continue on this building some controls for the bike. And a lot of this is just to give it some rattling motion and stuff like that, and to make it so we have a primary driving system so that we don't actually have to animate each one of these properties individually. So I'm going to fix things here and there, but the main thing is we'll focus on rigging up the bike. Hopefully we can get to the character this evening. That's the plan anyway. All right, so I will not hesitate and we will just jump in and get going. I need to. So we have this bumping thing going on right now with the engine. I have this pipe here rigged up, and it's taking position data from the engine and bringing it over here. So I want to bring that. I actually want to create a universal bump or wiggle controller, and this is so that I can have influence over the whole thing. I want everything to feel connected. I don't want it to feel like it all has its own wiggling and bumping going on that's independent of one another. So right now, I have a little wiggler on the engine right here. So just this control here. So let's create something totally new, and we'll just build a little null object that's going to be the wiggler for this specific vehicle. And I'm going to call this C wiggle and bump. Wiggle and bump. I'll start bringing all the controls to the top. Doot. Okay. And actually, I'll preface anything that's a null object or meant to be a controller. I'll just put a C in front of it, sort of like what Duick does. Oh, and I meant to update Duick. I guess I might as well do that with you on line here. D-U-D-F. I think the website is D-U-D-F. I don't know how to say it, actually. It makes me feel a little self-conscious when I say it. It's DUDF.com, I believe. Well, this is the actual site here. So it's DUDF.com. I've already donated to them, so I've tried to donate as much as I can because I use their tool a lot, and a lot of their tools actually. So I have tried to support them as much as I can. I think we want to go to, where is the actual tool? Dun, 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 don't know. See, if you just Google them here, you can find the Duick. Let's go here. That's a bit of a, I suppose, a bit of a design thing. Here we go. All right. So where is the plugin? I'm sorry, this is a bit of a weird thing to do in a stream, but I kind of need it. So where are you? Weird. Well, there it is there. Okay, but is this old? This looks really old. Weird. I'm not seeing much in, it's kind of bizarre. I'm not sure about this website, honestly, because I don't do it. Weird. I'm sorry. I'm like wasting everybody's time while we do this. Well, not that anybody's here, so I guess that's a good thing. Maybe I'll update in just a little bit. I'm not sure. That's really weird. It's not entirely clear. So maybe here, products. These are shirts. Oh, jeez. Oh, thank you. They migrated. Oh, okay, to Rainbox. Oh, thank you very much. Okay, great. That's really unclear on their site. So, RBENCZ, I don't know how do you say name, Rebenz, maybe? It's just informed me that they actually migrated to a new site. So that's here, Rainbox Production Co-op. So there, that's pretty helpful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's just download this. We'll just download that. So anyways, that's where it is. Thank you for the heads up. That's really helpful. I'm really shocked how hard it is to find it. It's not the top area that shows up in the Google search. That's a problem, in my opinion. That needs to be fixed. But okay, great. So we've got it. I'll get that updating pretty quick here. Close panel. Close panel. I think if I update it, I need to close After Effects, actually. So maybe I'll wait. But I did try to use Do It without it updated, and it got a little weird on me in the last round. So maybe we'll just update it really quickly and I'll just reopen the file. Okay, and downloads, where are we? Downloads, and it should be here. You experience firsthand reinstalling Duik. Okay, so I'm going to select that, CC27. Everything that I'm using in After Effects is basically in the default folders. Great. So hopefully that was easy. This program I installed correctly. I think this installed correctly. Hopefully. Okay. Thanks for the little intermission. The little tidbit of good information. What is this? The Indiegogo. Oh, they have a Rebenz. I don't. Can you maybe give me your phonetic pronunciation of how you'd like your name pronounced? So they're saying that they're already running the next campaign for the new version. So let's put that up here really quickly. We should support these guys. What they're doing is pretty amazing. I have to say that they've done some really amazing work. I think we need to definitely contribute to this. So I'll definitely back this project. Let's see what I'm going to back this for sure. How many days do they have left? We just saw on their other website, which I closed. Cool. They've only got 100 backers so far. How long have they been going? Definitely need to do this. We need to get these guys are really killing it. They do some amazing stuff. There's a month left. Okay, that's great. So I'm definitely going to back these guys. Okay, thanks, Ricardo. um, so Ricardo's telling me there's a month left, and yeah, I think definitely if you're an After Effects user, these not only do they have rigging tools, but they have really great little animation tools that I use all the time. So definitely will be backing them for sure. I'll do that this evening. I would do it now, but I don't want to put my credit card process and transaction on Twitch. I don't think that would be specifically intelligent. Okay, so let's get back to this bike. Where are we at? So now I have to get another handle. We're building that wiggle controller. So this is the wiggle bump controller. I'll make this orange, and this will be this. If I make it a controller like this, I can do other things to it later. I will make it 3D so that it can parent to the whole thing, the actual bike. I may actually even make a master controller here, which may be a touch premature, but it's nice to have something to parent everything to. Okay, and then I'm just going to check here in the front view. And I'm going to line the master up with the base of the bike. Cool. So this may be, I'm not sure, like I haven't done a bike on a complicated ground before. So trying to create the effect where the one tire goes up and the other one follows after, I'm not really sure of the best way to go about that. So we may end up having two controllers instead of using a rotation, because the rotation will just actually push one tire into the ground and lift the other one up. So it might be more important to have a rotation that's based on the position of two objects. We'll figure that out later. Everything is just so complicated. So the wiggle bump controller, I'll just put off to the side here. I'll just make it yellow. And I'm going to make it smaller since it's not really a primary controller. And I'm actually, hopefully, oops, what happened there? Hopefully I can just use this as I just use the rotation value to drive the wiggle. Might be the best way to go. I can also put here, we'll just actually do this. We'll put some expression controls, sliders. We'll call one here rate, and another one amount. Okay, so these two we'll use to actually drive the wiggle. And I'm going to just take my reference from this guy, 5 and 3. So in a wiggle expression, this first number is the frequency, and the second number is how much. So we'll have frequency here, which is technically the rate. I should probably just put it frequency, and then the amount. And I may end up, actually, let's also just do this. It's maybe a little bit overkill, but we'll have wiggle 1, because I may put a number of different sliders on here to control several different wiggles. We can just make it depending on what actually happens. Like we may do this, we may not. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if the name's a bit long. Okay, so now the reason I'm doing this now is because I'm going to be referencing this on a lot of different things, and I just want it to be already set up. So we are going to create a really quick definition, which we'll call frequency equals, and I can just pick whip up to here, bonk, and then rate equals, oops, and pick whip up to here, or sorry, not rate, amount, AMNT. Okay, so now with that in mind, we can just change these out to FREQ and AMNT. And we had those as 5 and 3. So we'll go 5 and 3. So we should achieve the same effect. There we go. Great. So now we can animate those properties, the wiggle properties, and we'll use this over and over again to drive those controls. There seems to be a little bit of an intersection issue happening on this guy here. Oh, it's because we're in front view. That's why. Oh, and it's showing up here too, but it's not in custom. So that's good to know. You got to be careful with how your layers overlap in After Effects. It looks like we're going to have a little bit of a problem here on this pipe. So I'm just going to pull it back a little bit more. There we go. Cool. Great. All right. So now that we have the wiggle control, we can do the rest of this thing. So this wiggle will drive all of these other objects, and how they move around. So let's maybe add a little bit of a wiggle to the engine bottom. And we'll modify the amount based on the code in the actual thing here. So if we go to this engine bottom, where is it? Let's find it. It's the top, bottom. There we go. So the bottom, I'm going to add the same thing that we have on the top, but I might tone it down just a little bit. So on the rotate and the position, remember we have not the mount, we want the top. Sorry guys, kind of getting my head wrapped back around this again. So engine top, we have one on the rotation and on the position. Actually, the position is just tied directly to what's happening on the engine rotation. So I'm just going to use this over again. and we'll do it on the engine bottom. So position, just alt click and paste. If you want to see, well, I guess I can review what I did really quickly for anyone that hasn't seen this and you don't want to go running back to the other video. Basically what I'm taking is the rotation of this object, the rotation of the engine, and applying it a transform to the position. So this means that as this thing rotates, so if we go to this thing, as it rotates, it'll actually move in space up and down with a slight delay. So that just makes it so that the position wiggle correlates with the rotation wiggle, making things feel a little bit more connected versus them both wiggling independently, which I don't find always makes for the most convincing animation. Okay, so the engine bottom rotation now will be driven by that wiggle that we made before. So you can see I just set up I call it ENG rotation for engine rotation. Maybe perhaps it's a bit specific, but that's grabbed here, and I have a time offset of -0.05. And then I just set up position X, Y, and Z for my, what are they called, for my array. And I'm just adding the X and the Y to it and subtracting. So the rotation from this value is, I just sort of figured it out and just hammed it in there. Okay, so let's grab this rotation value. So I should pretty much be able to copy and paste a lot of this stuff for everything, and then just modify the amount accordingly. So right now they'll both wiggle at the same rate. And actually, which is interesting that it's +1.6. Seem a little bit different actually, which is interesting. Oh, you know why? That's interesting. Frequency and amount. It's this comp layer. C wiggle. That's interesting. So they both have, this one has slightly different value, even though they have the exact same code. So I might have done something wrong here. Let's just see here really quickly. What if we put the amount to 10? It affects them both. It's interesting because they seem out of sync with one another. Just bear with me as I troubleshoot here. It's always something. So I'm just turning off the position expression because that's making things a little confusing to look at. And I want to see, yeah, it's really weird. This one is slightly out of sync. Well, I don't know if they're out of sync or not, but it's very interesting. Unless it already, well, no, it doesn't have anything on it. So we are grabbing the frequency and the amount from this slider effect here, but we're getting two separate results, and we should have the same results. Oh, that's why. Actually, you know what? We wouldn't have the same results. That's why. Because we are using a wiggle command. We're not using a rotation command. So what that means is we're going to get a different random order of those two values depending on the object. Okay, that's why. All right. So if we wanted things to be unified, we need them to be grabbing a wiggle amount from a different object. All right, that makes sense. So, okay, so I have to just rejig my thinking here. I misdirected you, and I apologize for that. So when you're using a wiggle, and I maybe you saw this coming, right now what I have is I have a wiggle on this rotation value. Two objects could have the same wiggle property, or the wiggle variables, so they can have the same frequency and amount, but because they're different objects, they will have actually a different wiggle. So one may wiggle at this, and this they'll have the same rate and frequency, but they won't actually do it at the exact same time. I think what I'm looking for in this is for them to have the same time. So with that being said, instead of these rotation values being pulled from a wiggle, they're actually going to be pulled from this object, the wiggle object here that's sitting in this controller here. So we actually want to grab the rotation of this guy here instead of having a wiggle. So let's go, we can re-enable this and re-enable this one here. Okay, and then we're going to just change this. And we're just going to grab this rotation value here. We'll have to do a quick thing to it though. So I'm going to make a little variable. So we'll just call it wiggle rotation equals. So we'll just call that'll be our referencing our wiggler. And then we'll take the rotation and we'll add it. We'll add the wiggle rod to it. There we go. And then we can change up here the amount. Well, actually, let's even just do this to make it even cleaner. We can have a multiplier. So we'll just say mult equals, and then give it a number. For now, let's give it 1. And then we can go times mult. So if we want to have a different multiplier on each one of these, we can just quickly go in the code and do this. You could also make it so it references the name of the layer. There's ways that you can do that too. It's pretty simple. I just can't remember it offhand, but you can have it so it references a part of the name of the layer to get a value. And I do that if I have to do a ton of different things. I don't want to be opening the code on every single one of these. And then I'm going to also do a time offset equals. And that, for now, I'm going to put that at, well, we'll just do what? Maybe we'll just do 0 for now. No, let's do negative 0.01. That's a good place to start with time offsets, for me anyways. So negative 0.01, I think if I go like this, dot value at time minus time underscore off. Now that should, if I didn't mess anything up, that should mean that we can take, I'm just going to space this out a little bit better. We can just change these two values to get a different rate of wiggling. Oh, how is it? Okay, so Ricardo's saying that there's a way to unify the wiggle into layers. Oh, cool. Oh, interesting. Oh, because you're setting the seed. Oh. Okay, so I'm just going to post this really quick, what you're saying, just for other people to take a look at. So Ricardo's just showing how you can unify this. Unify the wiggle right here. Oh, it looks like that's probably like that. Do you mean like that? Let me just double check. Expression seed random true. Is that all one line, Ricardo? Because you've got a semicolon there before the wiggle. Just let me know if that's right there. Okay, cool. So that will set a seeded, basically a wiggle that's the same for each object. Okay, cool. Okay, so that's awesome. Thank you. Now I think even with this, I think what I am going to do, the reason I might want to stick with a rotation variable is that if I want to hand animate this or put a spring thing on it, that way I can do that. So if I grab these rotation values, that means I'll be able to manually rotate this and be able to control the bumps just in case the wiggle's not lining up with the bumps on the bike. So I think I'm going to keep going with this rotation reference. But for anyone who's curious, that wiggle that is actually really helpful because I never knew you could unify it. So that's great. Thank you for that. Thanks, Ricardo. Okay. So let's see, where are we? Where are we at? Okay, so we're using this little thing here. Okay, so let's put this. We're going to copy that, and this will just become something we just use as a standard. We'll just apply it everywhere. Paste. Now what should happen is these guys should be both lined up. Great. Now the only thing, right? So this thing is parented. So there's going to be a bit of an offset happening on the pipe here. Now, one thing I could do with the actual pipe here, I probably should do it. I'm not 100% sure the best way. I have to figure it out. But there is a way to link two objects so that another object follows it precisely. Because right now we're getting an offset. And it's something like you have to, I'm going to see if I can figure this out really quickly. This may be a nuisance to everybody, but I do want to see if I can do this. Okay, because one of the things that's going to happen is the engine top and the engine bottom are going to rotate at different times. And I want this other clip. So let's turn off, first off, let's zero out the rotation. This is the other thing I want to be able to do is actually make sure this thing's at 0 sometimes, especially when we're rigging so things aren't moving all over the place, which I didn't think of until recently. So what I'm thinking of trying to do here is taking the top pipe piece and then having a bottom one and having a nested object follow those, be offset by the position of these guys, even though they're parented to something. That might happen, that might not happen. This is a little bit more complicated for me. I'm not 100% sure if I can do this. I'm pretty sure it's possible, but you'll have to bear with me as I figure it out. So the top one will be parented to the top engine. So this one, and this one will be parented to the bottom one. So now these guys should move around with these. So if I position them around there. Now it doesn't so much matter, shouldn't matter their Z position. It's irrelevant, I guess, but I guess what I'll do is I'll still make it right. So let's just go position. These should be 3D too, actually, which is going to totally mess up what I did. So let's just go like this. Because I made them 3D and they're parented, if I zero them, they should just... No, they didn't. I figured they should actually stick to the ones that the objects, but all right, there we go. Okay, let's see if this works. I could be completely wasting everybody's time here. I'm going to see if this is possible. I've done it other ways before, but I'm not sure. This is always a little bit of a stretch. So what I'm thinking of doing is having these two, what have we done? These two objects, I'm thinking of having these two objects actually drive the positions of the nested pipe, this pipe here. So these two null objects here. So if they move up and around in this scene, these controllers will move up and around in the other scene. And it's not a relative thing, it's like an absolute relationship. Again, I'm not even sure if this is possible. I'm going to find out. It should have something to do with grabbing a position of an object, to converting from a world position to a local position. So I might have to look this up really quick. But because they're going to be a really weird relationship because they don't have the same numbers. So it'll be an offset and then it'll be something else. So I'm not even sure what that's going to be like because these won't actually move. It'll be these things moving. And I want I don't know. Honestly, I'm not sure if this is possible. So usually I go to Creative Cow for this. Yeah, that makes sense. Ricardo's saying you can zero out the null from the pipe comp and then make Add the new value to the null to the top comp. Yeah, so if you do that thing using the, what is it, this one? Where is the, I can't remember where that is here. It's just it create a zero object. Yeah, so you can create a zero object, right? Like if I've got you right, Ricardo, and then that will zero out this, and then you can add the position of that to this. I think that's what you're saying. Oh, is it do okay? So do you mean to zero out this one here? Because you're right. I think we can do that. Like, all right, let's try. Let's try. The only thing is it's still, I think it's still going to, so this is zeroed out. Now we want to turn this code off because, well, this is doing all this wacky stuff, which isn't, we have this sort of subtraction zeroing method, which is a little bit, I forgot about this, using this thing here to zero things out. So that, oops, this creates a zero position for these objects. And then you can animate them accordingly. Okay, so these are now zeroed. Now what I was doing before is I was grabbing, regardless of this zeroing out. So let's just, actually I might just delete all the expression on here and delete. This might be a little bit of a bit of a mess as I figure this out. I'm not going to worry about this guy for now. I'm just going to leave it. But these ones, so the thing that's not going to work easily is these objects. This here is actually parented to this. So when this moves, like right now I'm cheating it. It's a cheat. It's not actually following, which the problem with a cheat is if this object here rotates, so if the engine top rotates, we won't pick up that translation in the, I'm faking it right now, but you can see how that's like completely throwing the pipe off. Here, actually, let's just turn this off. This guy's off. I thought I turned that off. Position, we'll just turn that off too. Okay, great. So what happens is I'm cheating it right now. So when this rotates, that we're not going to get a value on that because this rotates here. And as you can see, our little tracker piece up here for pipe top, the value hasn't changed at all based on that rotation, when in the world it's changed. So that's the, I want to try to get this here. So I could probably, I'm going to try something. We'll create a zero object on this one as well. I think that just messed it up. That's weird. I'm not going to do that right now. Not a zero object. So what I want to do is I want to grab the absolute world position of it. I'm going to see if I can do that. I don't know if I can do that. Let's just, the first thing to do is to create a variable that refers to that value really quickly. So I'm just going to create this. I'll create this in the position here. And I'm going to create, just called pipe top POS. And this may not be, I'm not sure if this is the right thing to do, but I'm just grabbing this so I actually have the value to work with. There. So what we need to do, I've done this before, I'm just trying to remember how I did it. I did it with a kid's hand in like in a wagon and got it to follow something. So I'm just going to use Google right now. So I guess like you guys will just have to bear with me as I try to figure this out. Parent and object, parent a layer, expression, After Effects. Okay, so let's go to Creative. I usually go to Creative Cow. Dun, 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 dun. Now this should have something to do. I've done this before. No, this isn't the one. All right, I'm just looking at my parent. This isn't it. So that's just grabbing a value, but we want to do, ugh. Anytime I see like a massive amount of code like this, I don't do it. I don't even bother because I don't feel like anything I'm doing, I am not doing this much code for anything. Okay, so this one has too much to do with time. We're moving on to something else. Oh, that's annoying. Backpack. Okay. There's a really simple way to do this. I've done it. I think Video Copilot has one where they use. No, this isn't it. It's to create a thing between. Let's just see. Sorry, guys. This is horrible to watch. I'm really sorry. I'm trying to learn how to figure this out. Okay, parent layer. It really should be something to do with. I might just have to figure this out manually. Or I'll just go in Creative Cloud and Creative Cow and do another search. Parent world position. Really? Not finding anything? Okay. Okay, this might be it. Oh, I know I've seen this before. I've seen this before. Dan Eberts always. So this could be what we're looking to start. It's this L to world thing. Which this would be the I think we get the anchor point. Okay, Spunrita. This Spunrita has this little bit L composition. Yeah, I think this is it right here. Actually, Spunrita, you grabbed it. Perfect. Okay, so I'm pulling this from what you did off here, and we're gonna stick it in. But it's this. People use this thing all the time. This two world thing. I always forget about how to actually use it. So let's go here. Now the thing I don't know, the thing that I am not sure is going to work, which I haven't done before, is um, taking this value from a separate composition. And I think we have to follow the anchor. We can't follow we have to grab the anchor point, or sorry, yes, the anchor point. So we'll go back into, boom, I know I'm just cheating this because I'm not super smart, but we'll grab this one. We want the actual anchor point of this, not the position. For some reason, it's anchor point, so that's what we're gonna grab. At least that's what I recall. It has to be the anchor point. Okay. Let's go back in here. So we have this anchor point. Dude, let's see if this will work. This may just make a horrible mess. I have no idea. This shouldn't do anything yet because I need to apply this somehow. Transform. How did we do the LPOS? Are we adding LPOS or like? The problem is we're gonna have a two-dimensional variable. I can't remember how to apply it. Da, 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 da. And then we have to. What is Spunreed, if you remember, if you're, I don't know if you're actually looking at the. I'm just trying to see how I have to apply that code. Here, let's just go to world. I just can't remember how to make it source it, right? So we're doing, I'm grabbing this position. Oh, this is grabbing the position, but do we want the anchor or the position? Okay, let's just try. I'm messing up what you sent me, but it's because I'm sure I have to use the anchor in order to have something source it. Oh man, he said, yeah, okay. We need to use anchor, you're right. Okay, so I just have to find, where is that? He's done it so many times. Dan Everett's always like copies and pastes it, like tells everybody this is the, and I've looked at it a million times, and now I can't find it. I know that to apply it, it's something like it's going to be, it's like you take, it's not going to be this though. That's not going to work at all. It has to, I can't remember how you apply it. We're on the right track though. I know we're on the right track. So just bear with me for a little bit longer here. I've done this, seen this so many times. I just have to remember where it is. I really should just document all this stuff. To world anchor point. Let's just see if I can find it here. Bum 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 bum. Dan Edwards is replying. Let's try that. I will try this spin reader. We'll try value plus. But I don't think that's it. I don't think it's it, but I'm going to try. Value. Let's just do it and see what happens. L pause. I think we're going to get an error. We are. So let's see. It's not even telling us what the error is. Project Canes error at line 2, property position of layer. So let's just go L anchor point. Okay, so we still have to figure this out. Oh, wait a minute. There's this. Did I do that or was that in there? I messed that up. Okay. There's this you've got a semicolon in here, and I don't know what that's supposed to be. Is that supposed to be a comma or something? Or like this one here? Or is that supposed to be a different line? But you have a bracket and we don't close the bracket. So yeah, so your code has an open bracket. So maybe that was supposed to be, I don't know. I'm just going to see if I'm interpreting this. I'm glad you guys make these mistakes too, because I'm the worst. I'm always messing this stuff up. Yep, new line. Okay. Right. This is okay. This seems more correct. Something should happen here. And I think I need to do, I'll put your thing back to position, like what you had. Does that help? You had L dot position. Position is not a property. Let's see if we do this. Point. Does that change that? Yes, it is. Okay, so there's something wrong here, and I'm sure it's something I'm doing. To world bracket L dot anchor point. I might have messed something up. I'm going to take exactly what you wrote instead of running off into a world of doing my own thing. Yeah. There you go. Thanks, guys. I'm still messing something up. Okay, yes, we have L is equal to the anchor point, not L is the anchor point. You have L set to equal the anchor point, not a layer or a transform. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm an idiot. This must be super frustrating to watch. This is usually why I don't do this. I usually figure this stuff out first and then I do a tutorial on it. Let's just do this. It's a little bit. Dum -dum. Okay. I'm still getting an error, but I know I'm doing something wrong here. Transform. Okay, and then this we'll put to position again. Sorry guys. Okay, we're still getting a problem. The class property, the position does not exist. Oh, because this is referring L to world L dot position L, and this should be, maybe that's it. Dun dun. There we go. Okay, yeah, sorry guys. Thank you. I'm sorry for being Colin I see Harvey, Colin Harvey. Thanks for the notes too. That helps. He's saying, well, he or she can't you can't grab the anchor point of position value. And so what I was doing is I had this as dot position, and we were sort of we were saying here we were grabbing a value of a position. Like we were, L is supposed to be, just correct me if I'm wrong, explain something wrong. L is the layer, and then we're saying look at the layer's position value. And what I was doing is I was making L and then equaling position like that, which basically in this thing then looks like this. It's like essentially adding another one of these, another position. So it's doubling up on something and make it's just you're it's the wrong location essentially, right? Okay, so we've done something. Now the question will be, we have to let's go value plus. Not sure what this is going to do actually. Okay, so we can offset it back. Let's see if this works. This it might be such a mess. Okay. So now I'm curious. Does it work? No, it's not working. Okay, but it works here. But so what this is great. We've done something which sort of works. Like it's doing it. There seems to be a little bit of a drift, which is interesting. It's matched, but it's not matched 100% perfectly. So we've got something here. And I'm wondering if it has something to do with the scale space. I'm not sure. So, or if it's because I'm going value plus. The only reason I'm doing value plus is because otherwise it's all the way over here. Yeah, I will try 2comp. That's a good point. Yeah, this is still doing it. It's still at about, seems to be about half. So let's try 2comp. Dun, 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 dun. From comp. This will be from comp, and this will be 2comp. Okay, so no errors. That's a good start. Yeah, weird. It's still half. That's very strange. Come on. Uh-oh. Oh, right, because we don't have it adding up. Now I've like sent this thing into space. Oops. What is going on? It's not working. My keyboard is not typing for some reason. There we go. Oh, jeez. What have I done? Didn't I just do this? Yeah, that's a good point, a question if the layer is scaled or not. Let's check. I don't think it is. This layer should not be scaled at all. Everything should be pretty zeroed. You know what it could possibly be? Because we did put a zero thing on something. No, so this is scaled properly. They are parented to stuff though, so that could be something caused, but it shouldn't matter. Like we should be able to get the world space of something regardless of what it's parented to. The other thing is, let's have a look here. Did I do that zero? What did I do that zero thing to? That could be what it. Let's go back into the pipe. So all this looks okay, I think. I mean, the scale. Well, yeah, you're right. The scale is halved on this. So is that possible that that's causing a problem? Don't think it should. No, it shouldn't matter. Okay, is the null on the same plane as the comp layer? No, you know that's the other thing that might be happening is because one of these is a 3D layer and the other is a 2D layer. So that could be a problem, right? So maybe let's just try something really quick. If we make this not 3D, yeah, okay. So I think that's what the problem is. This this is a 3D layer, a 3D object, and the other one's 2D. So I suppose one way we could fix that is by making these 3D, but that's going to make a little bit of a mess. Let's have a look here. Yeah, that's a mess. We don't want to do that. I wonder if there's a way to just grab L position, and if we grab essentially just the position X and Y and not the position of Z. I think that's the problem we have. So this is a 3D layer, and we want to exclude the Z position out of the equation. That will help us right off the bat. So anybody have any ideas? So we want to grab value plus from plus L position. How do I grab just, I know it's like something like, it'll be this bracket and a value inside that bracket, but how do I grab just the X and the Y and apply it? I don't, because we're, Spenrita, that might be, so Spenrita's thrown a little bit of code here, alt comp. This might be important. It's not going to solve our, so I'm just going to drop it in here really quick so we can take a look at it. So this might be our parent if there's a parenting issue. I think this could be a great solution. I'm not 100% sure. I am not a code brain person at all. So this it usually takes me a little bit to figure this stuff out, but we can see how this works. I'm going to just copy this since it's working and put it on a little notepad. Bonk. And then I'm going to grab this thing that you made. Oops. It's crazy how long this kind of stuff can take. There. And what do we have? Byte comp. L to world is not a function. Plus, okay, value plus L to world. Transform L to anchor point. Wonder. I'm just going to double check with this. No, okay, so value L to world is not a function. just do this really quick to see if, what do we have wrong here? I think you're right. No, I don't know if we should delete transform. That shouldn't make a difference. That should actually, that may cause, well, maybe, well, let's see. You're right. You're right. You're right. I think you're right. Okay. Good call. Okay, and then the parent. Oh no, I just deleted your code. That's all I did. So this is the thing I had. You're right. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Let's figure this out. Let's try this again. It's jumping all over the place. Okay. Let's try deleting transform. Okay, it does something. It's way off in space. So let's have a look. Whoa. So it's got some kind of double scaling happening here. So maybe that's a good thing. Let's have a look. I think that's working. I think you solved the problem. Okay, thank you. Semicolons missing at the end of the second line. Yes, thank you. Punk. L.2comp. Colin, what are you saying? You should have L.2comp. I'm just wondering where that should go because we have L.2 or instead of 2comp. Well, so what's happening now, which is interesting. Okay, thanks, man. All right. This is cool, guys. Thanks. This has like been really helpful. What's interesting is this parent thing that Spunrita recommended is actually working. I don't know exactly why. If you have any feedback as to why that's working, this parent from world. So I'm assuming that's because we're telling it to take from the parent value. Anyways, if you want to explain that a little bit, I'm not quite sure how this parent from world little thing here is working, but it's working. So that's awesome. Great. So we now have those things connected. Fantastic. I just have to line it up properly. So I'll just lock this and I can go into the bike pipe here and just reposition this layer. Cool. Thank you. I always feel like such a hack because because I do all these tutorials on stuff and I'm always doing this, just trying to like muddle through stuff all the time. So it's kind of awesome. Thank you for the help. I really appreciate it. So that way we will be able to also do the other one. We'll take this one and let's unlock this. And that's pipe underscore bottom. Okay. Put this in position. Now this should go flying into space somewhere. And I'll bring it back. And actually, I have to disable this and parent these. So Spunrita is saying, I don't know, the from world stuff confuses me too much. I learned that expression from my rocket. That stuff confuses me too. And that's the thing is I've done it so many times and I can never remember exactly what is going on. And I've read about it a lot. And I guess it's just like, I don't know, some people that their brain works that way. Me, I always forget. I spend a lot of time relearning things that I once knew. So it's a bit of a tragedy of existence, I suppose. Okay, let's bring this back. Where are we? Don't. Yeah, I did it in Rocket Randy to make the multiple layers work together so that you could have one controller system driving one character. It works, but I guess the problem I ran into with that whole process is that it's really heavy. Like it's not. It's a decent solution if you've got no other option, but it's like things started getting animating pretty slow on it, so it's not ideal, I guess, in some ways. But I don't know. I feel like this kind of stuff. So we're working with a guy who does a lot of coding, David Sykes, and he's a coding wizard. And what we're trying to do is make a little handful of tools that are things like what we just did right now that make it automatic. And that's a big thing I want to move into because I do get quite sick of learning this stuff over and over again and never really, I'm always forgetting it. And then, we just spent, I don't know how long we spent, probably like half hour or something working on that. So, and it's a thing that's commonly used, right? Because you're going to have puppets and characters all the time that are embedded and nested in things, and you want them to follow things around. And it's just wrapping your head around it is, I always find wrapping my head around it is always a bit of a trip. So now the question, see, this is a thing I was concerned about, and I'm not sure. Actually, if we just take the pipe and if something's parented, that's the thing I was wondering if this would work. So it works on a principle level, but I wonder if maybe it'll work here. I don't, so that guy works, which is great. Cool, that's working really well. But this one is not working. Why is that not working? Is it because the pipe is parented to the engine bottom? Probably. Let's try and see what happens there. So we want, okay, so it's working like that. Okay, so we really can't have this. This pipe has to be parented to something other than, it can't be, it has to be maybe parented to the master or something. It can't be parented to either of these things because then it moves the root composition around, which is not what we want. So right now, when this rotates, all this stuff is working wonderfully. So maybe what we'll do is we'll do something to drive the center pin as well, and that'll be the one that it'll average between the two of these things, just to, because right now the middle is locked. I mean, the only reason I was kind of wanting the middle to be active is to make the pipe feel a bit heavy. So let's just, these are working. The pipe, so I think I just want to get the pipe parented to something, and that I might just parent it to the master or to the frame. Eventually, everything needs to be parented properly because otherwise, when we move it, everything's going to fall apart, of course. So I guess as I work through this thing, we could parent stuff to this rack mount here, I guess, and that is, what is that? Basket mounts and back. Okay, so we'll finish this thought process first, though. Let's finish this last little bit. Yeah, so as far, oh, what do I do? Okay. Ricardo's asking, wouldn't it be simpler just to bring the pipe into the comp you're working on? Yes, it would in some ways, but it's not in others because this is where this is where it becomes a bit of a problem. Is this is a 3D environment and everything that's going on. If I have puppet pins in here, they act a little bit weird in a 3D environment because they're a 2D coordinate system in a 3D space. They're sort of, the puppet pins themselves will be acting inside this layer in a very similar way, and we would run into the same problem. And on top of that, the puppet pin itself, it'll potentially act weird. We can try it. Maybe it'd be something to try really quickly, just out of curiosity. Because it's a good question. So I don't know, let's just grab something that we can puppet around really quickly. So we have these 3D layers. Let's just create, I don't know, let's just create this here. And we'll add some bones. Bonk. Okay, so we've added these little, oops. So we have these two little bones that appeared somewhere in space. Okay, so those bones will control this. So we're just running, it's a very similar problem because those bones aren't in 3D, but let's put this bone in 3D, and we'll put another bone here. Because you could totally be right. I just seem to remember having a problem doing it, but I could be wrong. And we'll make this one 3D. And then let's just parent them to one of these little guys here that we're animating all over the place anyway. So one of the pipe ones. So let's parent it to pipe top. And we'll parent the other one to, you could be right. You could totally be right. But let's see. Because that's the thing is I was working on 3D layers, but maybe that's not a thing. I don't know. I can't remember honestly. Who knows? I remember at one time I got weird results, but it could be. So now this is a 3D tracker, so it is working. It shouldn't work in the Z. Nothing should happen when we do Z, which is fine. So Ricardo, I think you're right. Like I think we can do it. It seems to be working. So instead of doing all the messy mess that we did in there that I was just doing, we could actually do this here. Because it does work. And we didn't do anything crazy. It just worked. So that is probably the smarter way to go. I'm glad we went through this though, because I know there's applications for this. There's applications for that here, but I guess technically we could be doing it this really simple way, and just having the puppet pins attached to this. So maybe let's just do that. Let's also try that. So let's take pipe. I'm gonna just duplicate this out. The project. We'll just do the same thing, right? I always learn something from Ricardo. Actually, I've learned something from all you guys tonight, which is super awesome. Okay, so we've got the pipe here. I've just swapped it out with just the same object, but it's not a nested comp anymore. And what I'll do is I'm going to take this pipe top and bottom, and we'll just leave them where they are. Now I'm going to put the puppet pins on here. I suppose we could possibly just put them in this comp. Does that work? I don't know if that works. Can you do this? Yes, you can. Wonderful. So I'm going to put 3, just like we were doing before. Okay, so we have the 3 puppet pins, and now let's just I'm going to name them really quick, just because it makes the bones easier. So call it pipe mid, pipe bottom, and pipe top. Thanks a lot for your help, guys. I really appreciate it, because this is one of those things I could have spent quite a long time on and would have gone all the way around and eventually figured it out, but I would have spent a lot longer on it, I'm sure of it. And especially when, the night starts getting late and, you know, things it gets a little bit hard. You start making a lot of dumb mistakes. So I really appreciate it. It's really cool. Okay, so we've got these little 3D layers. The little bones are sitting there. So like what we did before is it shouldn't matter their Z position, but what I'm going to try and do, I wonder if we can go into, maybe we'll go into the left view and we'll isolate this. Okay, so let's just move these so they're in relationship to this layer properly. Well, there we go. And now let's parent all of them to the pipe. Or no, we can't do that. We can't do that. We can't parent them to the pipe. The only reason I want to do that is because I want them to follow the pipe if, is this going to mess things up? I'm really not sure. I want them to follow the pipe if I move it somewhere. So if I go like this, I want these little things to follow the pipe. Now let's take, the only problem is that means they won't follow the other thing. So let's just isolate this off. And I'm going to move these little controllers. So things are a little weird. The pipe isn't exactly in the same spot anymore. but I think I can fix that easy enough. This could be weird. This could be really weird. I'm not sure. Not sure. Let's find out. Um, so this thing is parented to this thing. So if I take pipe top and I parent it to this pipe top and this pipe bottom parent it to the other one, the pipe bottom up here, there it is. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, so far instant success, which is always positive. I think I want to get rid of the puppet tool on my chair really quickly. Okay, and get rid of these two things. I'm going to keep what we did as a nested comp, even if this works, because I'm always, there could always be something that, you know, like you're like, oh great, it works fine, and then all of a sudden we're gonna run into something and be like, oh, that this unexpected problem. So I'm going to preserve what we had made. So technically, I don't know what I'm doing. I should have those down there. This is getting annoying, going back up and down all the time. And I'm going to color all these guys purple so they match this pipe, which should be purple. It's a little bit easier because it's got so many layers going on now. Okay, so we have pipe top. That works. We have pipe bottom. That works now. And now we just want the middle one. These are parented to the engine. Now, I'm curious if we zero this, like Ricardo's recommended before, is that going to create a weird... it did something. It's zeroed on X and Y, but does it still work? Yes, it moved a little bit. Because when you create a zero, it creates a little object down here. It's like a parent object that zeroes stuff out. So it's a little bit of a cheat. But I'm always nervous that it causes some kind of weird stacking problem, you know, that I'm going to have to worry about later. Okay, and so engine top, let's just go back here. I just want to rotate this and make sure everything is working. Cool, it seems to be working generally. Okay, we're never going to move that much. Okay, so that's working, and then this one, let's just double check the engine bottom here. Cool, that's working. So the only reason I wanted to zero it out is because I want to add. Actually, that may not do anything because these ones aren't moving in the world in space. They're locked where they are. Just need to think about something here. Because if this moves, that thing doesn't do anything. So I kind of zeroed the wrong thing. So I'm going to parent this back to the engine bottom. Okay, that goes back there. Get rid of this zero. We don't need it. Because what I want to track is the movement of the engine for this guy. What I would like, I mean, I guess we can do that to world stuff for this middle guy here, is I want it to sort of take the average of the two. You know what, honestly, for this bumping pipe thing though, geez, I wonder if it's just too much. Like I was hoping to be able to like jitter it around a little bit, because right now these two things will connect just fine. They'll stretch, it'll look pretty cool, but we don't have any control over the wobbling of this pipe. So I'm just wondering if like, if I want to take the average of two positions, like two of these in a world space, average them out and get the middle, because I want the offset. I want the offset of one of the things that are driving it. You know what? It might even, you know, actually, I know what we'll do. I know how we'll fix this. We will base this on the actual wiggle controller. So instead of doing some kind of crazy math, we have this like little wiggle controller here. This guy. So let's put this, let's go back to this thing. Now that we've parented everything, and we'll enable its wiggling. Okay. So there we go. I can probably, because we're basing all of this off of this So we'll go back. This is a big leap back to some more primitive, basic expressions. Engine bottom. Now I wanted to modify the offset here. So for this one, we'll make the time offset 0. Actually, the offset on this one will make more at the core because it's the bumping of the wheels, so it'll be like really close. And we want to do that with rotate position as well. No, position's fine. And then the pipe, the engine top, that will have more of a delay on it. So time offset will be do 2. I might even do more because it's a little bit too in sync. Let's do 4. Okay. And then I'm going to change its multiplier. So this thing, because it's so big, I kind of want it to move more than the bottom engine. So I'm just going to reduce its multiplier a little bit. So we'll put this one to 0.5. Okay, and then I'll just play it back and we'll just have a quick look at how it feels. Cool. I think I want to change the offset even a little bit more. So there's a little bit, takes a little more time. So this top one, engine top. I really need to change the order of this. The problem is engine top is further down, but I keep wanting to go up because it's it's 2.1. Hey Colin, I'm not sure which you're saying Colin Harvey CG is saying that makes sense. I've got the script right here in front of me. I'm not sure what part of the comment what you're referring to, but if you want to just let me know because I'm not you might be I don't have the stream. Oh, I see what you're saying. The average of the position between 2 layers. Okay. Okay. Do you know how to do that, Colin? To do the average between 2 layers? I mean, I think what I'm going to attach it to this wiggle thing because if I average it perfectly, all it's going to do is exactly what it would do if it wasn't there in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So if I have it averaging between 2 layers, it'll just act as though it's not there. The thing that would be, oh my God, this is humongous. Colin Harvey, are you a coder? Like, where did you just find that? Did you just dig it up off of Creative Cow or something, or did you write that right now out of your brain? Okay, let's just put it in. I think we should put it in just to like just to see. I really shouldn't be experimenting because I have to hurry, but I do want to see. Oh, you're a coder. Cool. Colin, you're killing it. Colin, what kind of coding do you do? Do you do mostly I guess like what field do you work in? What is your language specialty? See, you should be streaming. You should be teaching all of us what we're doing because I feel like a little bit. Mm-mm-mm. I don't know if I might have done something wrong breaking this up because it looks like this bracket in front of the value thing is a little bit weird. Okay, so you do a lot of AE stuff. That's awesome. Okay. Yeah, I definitely find the expression language probably one of the easiest to understand. I used to code in BASIC when I was a kid, um, but I never, I didn't go that deep into it. I still really stuck with what seemed clear, like more like English. Colin, do I get rid of this little bracket here? Because it feels like it's coming out of nowhere. I'm going to possibly get rid of that. So we need to go F clamp parent fade. This is interesting. Layer effect parent A. So this would be layer A, point A, layer B. So this would be the point that we're wanting to average out kind of thing. Interesting. Okay. Wow. All right. So effect parent A. What is this? Wow. Oh, it's part of the if statement, right? Got it. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Where is your? Oh, there it is. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. Right. Formatting doesn't come in through the Twitch, through this actual stream here. Right. Got it. Okay. If parent blah blah. So that should be like. Is that like that? I can't remember. Okay. Sorry. I'm just breaking this up. Would that go like that? I can't remember. Okay. What is this damp effect? It's the damping. Is that an actual property that you can call? Or is that something, I mean, you haven't defined it here, so it must be a property that you can call. I've never really used the damp effect before. Okay, so this is how the code's supposed to be. Right now we're not referring anything because we need to source what these layers are. Mhm. So how come, I guess, oh my gosh, okay, it is really cool. And I have to say, like position line one of layer 17. So this has to, so layer A, you've got layer A saying it's grabbing the effect of parent A. Where does this, mm, oh, the fade is a renamed slider. Okay, okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, okay. So this is part of a little more like of a network of things. Oh my gosh, I might have to save this. I'm going to save this. I kind of want to put this in. So we would have a slider on this, and that would be there'd be a slider on the actual this like little thing here, and that would affect the damp, like the dampening effect would be here. Let's have a look at your screen capture. Okay, cool. Thank you for sending that so we can show it to everybody. Cool. That's awesome. What is this effect, this parent A? And I've never seen this effect before. So I see the slider, but I've not used this thing. What is this? In the top where you have parent A and then you've got reset and it says the layer 28. What is that? I'm assuming this is in the effects control panel, right? See if I can size this down so no, it's offensively small now. Okay, it's a layer control. Well, let's try this since you've been so cool as to show us how this works. We should check it out. So I'm going to zoom in on this. Da, 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 da. Okay. Thanks for showing me this. This is really, really cool. And hopefully some other people can learn from this as well. All right. Done. Okay, so let's go in here. Expression controls, layer control. I've never ever used a layer control before. So let's do pipe top. What do you like, Colin? What do you use layer? Like, what is the point of a layer controller? Like, is that just so it's easier to refer to something? like in coding, so that you don't have to. I'll probably end up using this a lot now. It's really cool. I've never thought to use a layer control before. I guess so you can use the same code over and over again and swap out multiple layers, and then parent fade. Okay, so we're gonna just do an expression slider. Looks like you need slider, yeah. Donk. Okay, so we still have a little parent fade is missing. So that's interesting. So you're able to go, cool, that's really cool. I didn't know about this at all. That's awesome. Okay. Looks like we have this. Be a problem. Looks like I'm still doing something wrong here. Let's see. What do we have? This project contains an expression error line one. The first line. And did I? Yes, I spelt it wrong. That's right. Baby mistake. Cool. Now, what happens if we move this? Okay, that seems. Is that parented though? Yeah, I should probably unparent this, shouldn't I? Oh, geez, that's probably what I did. That was stupid. Let's see. Bonk, bonk. Oh, no, 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 because it's parented to the pipe. Okay, and then this one. It doesn't seem to do anything. Let's say layer. Let's go 50. Do. I think I messed it up when I moved everything around because I'm an idiot. Got it. Cool, man. That's awesome. Crazy. That's neat. So in some ways, it's kind of oh yeah, set the position to. I don't think I can set the position of this to 0, 0, 0, 0 because I think it's gonna freak out. Is it? Oh yeah, it's okay. We're totally good. 0. Awesome, man. That's fantastic. Cool. Thank you for sharing that. That's really awesome. That's a great little code. And this is your dampening effect right here. Parent fade effect 0. Cool. This is awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this. That's wicked. So now, Colin Harvey CG is saying here, which is really awesome, is what we can do now is instead of putting the wiggle, we can put the wiggle on this parent fade slider, which is really cool. So that means this will bump around and it'll still try to follow. It'll still follow generally everything, but it will itself kind of wiggle around, which is super awesome. Thanks, man. That's wicked. That's really exciting. Cool. I just want to play with it now because it works so awesome. Great. Okay. Okay, so we have that stuff going great. And then I'll tie that in. I'll tie the little wiggle stuff on that once we get the rest of the bike bumping around because I'll probably grab the position of an offset position from one of these things, which might be cool. Just give it a bit of up and down gravity, which would be really neat. That's wicked. Okay, so with all this that's going on, that's fantastic. Thanks for cool. I've learned a lot tonight. That's amazing. Okay, we'll lock this off. So I'm going to keep this guy just around because I think what was going on there is still also very valuable. I don't want to forget that being able to take a layer that exists in another composition and have its position driven by something else is really, really awesome and really handy. So we muddled through that one really well too. So a lot of big achievements here. I'll probably stop the stream in a little bit just to break this up, because it's almost 1 o'clock in my land here. Cool. That's great. That's working really good. So the next step, I think the next step for me is to just get everything else linked together and bundling and rumbling along. Um, and I'll probably add a little bit of jostling bits to some of these guys too, just to give the whole bike a little madness. I think with let's just take these guys here. I'm just going to lock all this stuff since we don't want to really play with it, and I can hide it away. Except for the middle one, which we'll use later, but I think for now I'll hide them, and then cool. This is really exciting. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, so we have that. So I just want to give a couple of these other pieces a bit of a wiggling around. Mostly, I think, in just the rotation. Um, I really got to get this layer order thing in. It's kind of annoying. I just want this one to wiggle around just a touch. Ugh. You could do with the multiplier and stuff, you could use just that's another thing you could do instead of the way that I'm doing it, like with these things, you could just have a slider. Sort of what Colin was doing is instead of having these things as little codes, you could really just have a slider value, which I guess we can do just for the sake of example. Kind of got me thinking in that mode since you just did it. Um, so if we go like here, multiplier, and then um, time off. The thing that this, I mean, then I guess if you do it, if you were to do it this way, you could, you don't have to then go in the code to adjust stuff. You can just do it on the actual layer itself. So that can be really handy. You just have to make sure that you copy and you'll have to just copy the effect over to each layer that you want to do this to and the expression. So there we go. Let's pretty much do the same thing. And I should probably, I guess I'll do that to each one of the layers, and that way it makes it a bit easier just to grab the actual thing of what's going on instead of. So I'll put this here, and then I'll also put it on this one, this bottom one here. There should be two bottom ones, and then we just want to go to the rotation. I'm just going to work a bit backwards on what I did here. So this one I want at 0.5, 0.5, and negative 0.005. It's rounding up, but I don't think it actually is. I think the number is actually right. And then I'm going to just do this manually because it's a little faster for me at the moment. Don't. Oh, I messed it up. Oh, what am I doing? Oh, I'm the worst sometimes. Sorry, guys. I feel like watching me code is probably like watching a kid trying to learn how to ride a bike sometimes. You're just like, come on, dude, it's not that hard. Oh, really? Okay, so Colin's saying to do it quickly, you can select all the effects and the property with the expression and copy and click the layer you want to go to and paste it, and it should do it all. Okay, that's awesome. Well, let's try that. Let's take so we'll select this, and this maybe? Let's see what happens. I wonder if it'll work even if we have something that already has something on it. Let's see. Bonk. Well, I already put these things in here. That's bad news. Get rid of that. What am I doing? Did I already do this one though? Am I a total idiot? No, I didn't. Okay. So this one, let's get rid of these two. Sorry, let's start clean. I copied and pasted from this one. So let's just see if this works. I'm going here. I'm selecting, control clicking those, and control clicking that. Copying. Pasting. What happened? Let's see. Okay, it seems to be working, I think. The only thing that was weird is this happened. But that's all right. Okay, so now those are fine. Great, thank you. Yes, Colin Harvey CG is the super whiz of After Effects and should probably be streaming instead of me. Thanks. This is awesome. Okay, so on this one, I'm going to go 1.5. So this is definitely a little bit easier. -1. That's way too late. So -0.1. Cool. Okay, so now we're just going to use these expressions and these little sliders. So instead of doing it code way, which can be easy or hard, I think it gets a little bit annoying if you have to go through and edit stuff and fix it. But there we go. Cool. So now we can just use those sliders to modify things. So we'll go here, grab this one, dunk, and not all of them need the rotation position. I might increase the multiplier on this one to 0.4. And the time offset's going to be really, I'm going to put the time offset at 0 on this one. Because I want, this is like right connected to the wheel, so it probably should be bouncing around a lot. Cool. And then we'll put it a little bit on this one. These ones, like these guys here, we'll do that for the basket and stuff like that. Cool. So let's grab, let's just make everybody wiggling around all over the place. So, I mean, the goal here is to get, let's go R and Shift P. So we'll grab position, we'll grab rotation and these things, dot, position and rotation, copy. Let's see if we can paste back here. I want to get this little back, the little back one going. This one here. Oh, well, that's all right. It took the position and copied our position, but that's okay. I was just wanting to copy the expression mostly. But so that's working. So I'm just going to offset this a little bit. The cool thing is too is you can change the multiplier, right? So you could go -0.5. So then it's like goes the opposite direction, which is kind of cool. But I'm going to do 0.5 and I'm going to set the time to -0.05. Cool. We're getting this crazy wiggly jiggly little thing, which is awesome. Cool. That's bumping along. That's awesome. Looks good. I think the next, are there any other little parts? The basket, we want to jostle around a little bit. So I think with the basket, we're going to grab up here and create an anchor point for it. So we have the front and the side, parent that there. I'm probably just going to create a null object. Perhaps it's a little redundant. Maybe it's not necessary. Let's just put this like here. So now what I can do is actually, in the boxes, let's change their anchor points here. And this one down here. Okay, cool. And then this one I think is the angled one, must be. Yeah. So I'm just lock this and turn it off. I'm finding it a little bit distracting in my brain. And the boxes we have to apply their own little rotation value to. So this one I'm going to copy and paste the rotation controllers of this one here because I don't want the position bumping up and down. So let's grab, oh geez, it's kind of hard to select everything. I probably should have done that all at once. So just we'll grab the rotation and we'll grab this and this and this. Copy, and we'll paste that onto the basket. Oh, basket. Oh, geez. There we go. Okay, paste. So the basket, is it wiggling? No, it is not. Copy. I just did it. I guess I must have done it in the wrong order. Okay. Great. So this time offset should be different. We can add to the time as well, so we could go 0.1. It could happen sooner than all the rest. It depends on where the wiggle is coming from. Like, is it the front wheel or is it somewhere else? I don't really know. We'll figure that out later. And I'm going to put it to 1. This is pretty wobbly. Cool. It technically shouldn't be that wobbly because all your stuff would fly off for sure, but it's going to look okay. So it's definitely too much. So 0.5. So now let's do the boxes, and I think I'll give the boxes just a little bit. We'll just wobble them. They don't have to go up and down. So box 1, we'll just copy the same thing we're using here. Rotation, copy, paste. Does that work? Yes. And then paste. Okay, so these guys, actually it's really good we're using expression controllers because otherwise I think this would be a total pain in the butt. So these guys, I want their value to be 1.5. I really want them to wobble around. And because they're parented, they're going to be additive. They're going to add on. But then we also want to just change the time offset. So it's a little bit later. So it's 0.05 maybe. So this will make it feel reactive, but not, because this box is lighter. So, and we may have even want it to be the opposite. Let's just see. Yeah, that's better. Cool. Okay. And then this one, -0.5. And we'll make the offset a little bit more. This one's preemptive, so -0.01, because I kind of want this one box to feel a bit bigger. Actually, but it's not. 0.5. Oh, that's bad. -0.5 and the offset -0.1. Cool. On this, I think maybe this little box is moving too much. -1. Now, I feel like what's happening here is this box. I wonder if, no, it definitely needs to be a negative and it needs to be earlier. Because it has to feel like it's being pushed by the oops. 0.5. Okay, so the basket, sorry, I'm just going through this trying to get the right value. The basket's time offset is 0.1, so it means it's looking ahead in time. I want this box to look a little, I want it to counter the movements of the basket just a bit so it looks like it's pushing into the basket and not moving ahead of the basket, or that it's either its weight is pushing the basket down, which it's sort of doing because it's going into the basket and then coming off of it, but it might be a little bit too late. So let's go 0.2. I just want to see, oops, that's the wrong box. This box is less important for that, so I just want to see if I'm getting the right idea here. -1. Okay, let's just remove time offset for now. Okay, that feels better. Okay, so let's just have a look. I think it's moving too much in general. The boxes makes them look a little bit too light. Okay, that's a bit better. And I think this box 2 needs a different offset. There we go. Cool. I think that looks pretty good. Sweet. Okay. I have lots of little bumpy things going on. Eventually, these are all going to have to be parented to stuff. So these wheels will turn in 3D a bit. Not too much. We got to be really careful with how much we rotate stuff because we're going to break our illusion. So this, I'm going to create, maybe we'll do this really quickly. A null object that will rotate. Oh, it's got to be 3D too, by the way. So what I want to do, let's just see here if we can rotate it like this. And what is this? Like that. Okay, so we want it to rotate that way, and then we want to be able to just manipulate this to turn the wheel. So this will be driven all the way up here. So we get this to line up with the main shaft of the bike up here. And this will be, we'll call that C for controller. And I'll end up making that yellow. Cool. Okay, so I'll put that above this. Now this is what will have to drive all these guys. So this one should be parented to that. So where are we? There's a lot of layers. Okay, that. And maybe this one we can, whoops, we can parent this one. Oh no. C front turn, and then we'll parent this one to it because it's kind of a light thing, I guess. But that is does a lot of good because it's shining right on the box. Okay, and then these forks, the root of the forks. Now, the forks, I'm on the fence of whether to make them active or not. Like whether to make the tire kind of come in and out. I think it's overkill, honestly. I'm tempted to, but also I really have to remember that I'm super late on this project and I have to just sort of get it done. Okay, front fork. I have these forks in the back, so I need that's actually, this is technically not the right fork. Oh, no, it's not. This should be the left fork. I named that wrong. In fact, I probably named everything wrong. I did. Oh, God. I flipped the front and the back. So okay. This should be technically the right side. And up here should be the left side. I sometimes do that, as my brain is sometimes a garbage pit. So left, for heaven's sakes. Left, and then should be left. Okay, there we go. Cool. So then these ones should be right as they are. Wonderful. Now this I can front fork. Let's put that front. Actually, let's put it, keep it, try to be consistent. I'm all over the map with my naming here, which I don't recommend. Okay. Doot. So these guys, this one here, I think they're parented properly, but this needs just to be parented up to front turn. Now, the thing we might need to do is have them so their orientation stays consistent, just on the Y. I don't know if it's necessary or not. So there we go. We have the turn happening. Now, the only thing that's a little weird is this is translating a lot. So let's just go here. Let's have a look. Oh, it's the offset. Great. Okay, I have to fix that. I should have looked at that before. So this is sitting ridiculously far in the Z. I don't know why that happened. So now I have to go back to all these guys and un unparent them. Oh, geez. Okay. No problem. It's not that many things. Okay, and this, did we take the light off already? I believe we did. Nope. Okay. We'll know soon enough once we move this thing if we missed anyone. So that should be at 0. I don't know why I didn't double check that. Okay. And that means we need to realign it here in the front. Okay, let's do this again. There we go. Cool. All right, so now let's try that again. This one. And these guys down here. This one and this one. Okay. I know we're not, it's probably not going to work perfectly right off the bat. I feel like the fender, the fenders need to wobble, so I'm going to build in the wobble on the fenders for sure. I'm not sure about this thing though. This thing, is it parented to the fenders, or it's actually, this is part of the main axle, front axle. So I'll put this on this guy, the turner. Okay, so let's see how that's working. I feel like we're probably going to have a little bit of a oh no. Okay, no, we're okay, we're okay. Okay, cool. Great. So this one is not parented anymore for some reason. That should be here. Cool. Let's get the light on there. Like, it's just going to be rotating a tiny bit. If I wanted to be to have a lot of action, I would have probably built this more in a 3D setup. So he doesn't turn in the animation, he just sort of rides up a hill. So the main thing that's going to be happening is a little bit of this, a little bit of turning like that, but not much more than that. So we'll continue with getting the basket on there. And I think what I'll do is I'll parent the basket to this mount here, just in case if I decide to end up wiggling this mount, like this thing here, then I can have the basket attached to it, as it should be anyway. So let's make the basket parented to the basket front. I'll make that brown since it's sort of in the same world. There we go. Okay, and then let's try this again. Just wanna, actually, something I do a lot in 3D rigging is you set some animation. You make sure your zero, your first frame is all zeroed out, and then you push the animation. You create some keyframes. You always make it a little bit way more extreme than you would actually do in reality, because you want to push and see, make sure things have some flexibility, that you're not missing something, that if it gets put in a pose, you're not able to achieve that pose. So let's do, and I think what I'll do too is for the wheel, I'm going to create a null object, and we'll just call this C wheel front. Since there's so many things going to be parented to it, I kind of just want, and we'll have another one for C wheel back. Now the trick will be getting these things to pivot just so it's not a little bit off. which is probably inevitable. My wheels are going to be a bit crooked because this is hand painted, so there's a really good chance nothing's going to line up quite perfectly. That back wheel probably will need to be fixed. What I should do is probably just isolate these guys like this. Oh, I hate it when that happens. Okay. Wheel back with the spokes and wheel front. Wheel front with the spokes. Okay. And then let's get these little controllers active. So this wheel back is clearly in the wrong spot. Thank goodness we fixed that. And then this. Great. So now all of this stuff. I should probably just name these really quick. Cool. Okay. And we'll take the wheel and just parent it to wheel back. And parent this to wheel front. Turn these off. Reorganize these. Now, there. Cool, that's working. And this is working. So we'll be able to rig up, I think we'll be able to rig up that the Duick Tools has like a really cool little animation thing. I think it's here for wheels. We'll probably be able to rig that up to work wherever that is. There is one for wheels, I'm pretty sure. Links in effect with a distance. No, that's not it. I'm positive they had something for wheels somewhere. It's gotta be in there somewhere. Anyways, I know it exists. I'm positive it's around somewhere. I'm just probably being blind and not looking at it. Oh, there it is. Rotation of a wheel moving with a layer. So it's right there. So we should be able to make something work there. It's just you just have to define the radius and everything. Okay, so now I'm going to take wheel front and I just want to parent that to the front turn. Okay, so that's working a little better. And then I'll parent this guy here, the fender, wherever that is. Oh, so many layers. I wonder, I'm going to try the search thing. I don't usually find this works very well. I don't love the search. I don't find, like, if I'm just looking for a layer name, it doesn't. I'm probably not doing it right, obviously. Clearly, I'm not doing something right, but. Okay, fender front will be parented to the C turn, front turn. Okay, so let's have a look. Wonderful. I think that's about it there. I may take the front wheel and make a duplicate of it and push it in, just so I have another one, and rotate it a bit. So now that'll just fatten that wheel up a little bit. More of a trail bike now. Not sure if it's necessary. But that front wheel is going to be turning a lot. So I may even double up the fender. I'm not sure. Cool. But that works pretty good. So I just need to put the handlebar on the top back. The back one here. We need a copy of this. We'll duplicate this. And this will be handlebar right. Bonk. And let's go to custom. Where we are in custom. No, we're not. Excuse me. Okay, I'm going to save. I haven't saved in forever. Okay. Put this at 25. And we'll make this the opposite rotation. I believe that should be it. And negative here, I think. Okay, cool. That looks good. So now I just want to grab this handle guy here. I'll duplicate this. Now I should have done this before, but I didn't because I'm a dummy. So if you press C and F, you grab your camera controller so you can and press. So press camera and then press F. It'll allow you to focus on a layer. Cool. Sweet bike, man. Cool. Okay. There we go. Bike is starting to work. Let's see how it looks in the camera. Let's put on a 2-second loop and we'll just render this out really quick. So once I get some shadows on it and lighting, it'll look pretty cool. I got to be careful with the lighting though, because the lighting can reveal how bad, how not real the 3D is. So you got to be really specific. Sometimes it's better not to do lighting at all and to just fake it. Okay, let's put this to 0 here. 0 keyframe. Cool. I think that's pretty good. Now I also know that I'm going to be more slightly behind the bike, so that's why the basket's prioritizing. Now the only thing that's weird, oh yeah, this guy, that front peg, this thing is not parented properly yet. That's not working. Now that should be parented to, I was going to parent it to the wheel, but it probably should, well, it's parented to both. It shouldn't pivot from the, I don't even know. Let's just parent it to the box support front. We'll just parent it to the this engine mount thing and make it brown because they're all part of the same mess. Okay. I shouldn't be rendering this at full. This bike is pretty huge. Well, I don't know how huge it is. I think it's like 3. So we should be rendering at half. That should be okay. Cool. That's good enough, I think. And what I'll do too at along the when I get closer along and I start doing the coloring, I'll push all of these background ones just a touch darker. And let's take this box support and put this, we'll do one that's at, oh no. Basket, we'll put this at none. 5, I might even put it at 15. 25. Might even go further. Cool. Okay, that's working pretty good. So I'll also build into this. So we have this happening, but I'll also want to put the same stuff I've put on all these other guys for this stuff here, these rotation guys here. I'll want to do the same on the actual handlebars. So I'll take this same property. So I'm going to grab these two, but I'm going to put it on the Y. And then take this and pop it on the Y. And just make sure, because we've got the wrong, we're pulling the wrong value here. We're transform, do Y rotation. And this will just add, we want the multiplier to be 0.25, time slider 0. This will just add a general bumpiness to the position of the handlebars, which we're not going to feel right now. So let's put this to 2. And actually, we'll go just a little bit longer here. Yeah, the basket's not so. Spunrita's saying that the basket breaks. You're totally right. Like you can see behind it. We shouldn't actually go that far, hopefully, but it might be something to prepare for because I'm pushing the steering more than I actually am planning to. But that being said, we can fix it pretty easily, I think. I hope. Famous last words. So this is the front piece right here. I just want it to collide a little bit. Because right now it's not lined up properly at all. It's just sort of thrown in there. It was like a really cheap and dirty thing. I technically, if I were really planning on doing that, I would not do it this way. I would have made a separate piece, and then I would make sure they intersected properly. So here I just need to get them a little bit closer lined up, which they may not do because it's not quite designed for this. And this part here, so this also has to come over. So I could also use a little bit of a skew on it. Or yeah, so I could do two things. We could do a corner pin there and take this over like this. Because it's not straight along the top edge, it's actually slanting in because I just copied a layer and bent it. So let's go here, see if that helps. It's a little better. I should probably increase the feathering on the front basket though, because it looks a little crappy. So let's just go feathering. Let's put 10 there. Yeah, mesh warp. I love mesh warp actually. I love and hate it. Colin is just saying the mesh warp with enthusiasm. I love the mesh warp. I've used it on a lot of stuff, but I also hate like selecting it and pulling the things around. It's like a total pain in the butt sometimes. Um, there's also this little piece of the something that I want to. This is like ugly little thing. I'm just gonna use my little eraser and get rid of that. Could probably use a mask just as easily, but there we go. Go ahead. See ya. Oh, I want to make sure we're at. Oh no, I was at single frame. I want constant. There you go. Go on. Get out of my life. Cool. That's working pretty good. I think it looks pretty rad. Especially when he's like this is gonna be through a huge forest, so um just for some context, it's gonna be in this like giant forest, sort of like this. We're gonna be a little like closer than we are to this guy. Um but so as the bike's like we're gonna not see everything super close. Um but this is like so this scene here is we'll be doing another scene using these very similar assets as this one. So a lot of these assets, but I painted this whole forest. So that'll be the preceding scene. So that's like this one here. See this guy biking up the hill. We'll just be closer to him, and this shot will be extended. It's longer. So that's the thing that always happens when I work with directors is they're like, oh, this shot's too long. It's long and boring. And you're like, yeah, okay, it is, but the reality is once you get to something like this and you have this camera moving, this camera move is longer than that shot of the cyclist, and we're covering less ground, but the shot still is holding interest, and a lot of it's because there's so much going on in the frame, right? There's a lot of lighting. It even takes us a while before we really see that character working away at his stuff. So that's one of the things is animatics I always find, especially when you're working with a director who's never worked with animation before, they always feel like everything's moving way too slow, and then I end up having to extend everything. so that and that's always a problem because then the sound guys, like if you've got somebody who's working on the sound for you, they can't go based off the animatic unless you really know animation and you know that your shot is going to be long enough. So, and I don't tend to work that way. I tend to be pretty organic. Okay, so this bike I think is looking pretty rad. It's probably the coolest bike I've ever made. That pipe is looking good too. I just got to get the wiggle value on the center positioning of that pipe. This little pipe here, which will make it look a little more rubbery. I think this is a little bit too high. Oh, Spunritas, thanks for saying it looks awesome. I'm really excited about it. There's still a lot of revisions, unfortunately, to do on this film. It's screening at Hot Docs, which is why we're pushing to finish these scenes because I never finished these scenes, and um, it's already played at a number of different film festivals. So these scenes are the last couple to go in, but then we have a lot of little fixes to do where animation wasn't 100% or like certain things didn't look good or which the audience doesn't know. You're not going to notice if you watch it once. You don't typically watch something with that critical of an eye the first time. It's more on repeat viewings that you start to see some of the animation problems, so those will be fixing. Okay, I'm probably gonna have to stop pretty soon here because it's getting really late. um but the only thing, so I'm going to also add this, so I'm probably not going to stream the next part that I'm going to do, just because I got to move quicker on it. I'm going to add some like bumping and stuff to these little pieces. Really subtle. Just enough to make it feel like it's moving, but it can't be so much that it's disconnecting off the actual other objects because they are support structures, so they can't be flying all over the place. So I'm going to add just the slightest bit of rotation to them. I guess I can just copy and paste the same thing we've done a million times. Okay, let's grab dunk, dunk. Not going to do position. I got to be careful with this thing though, because the slightest rotation of this is going to be humongous looking. Because it's got quite a reach on it. I guess I can line it up with this one a little bit. So if I keep the timing the same, let's just see. Let's increase that to 0.5. I think 0.5 is going to be too much. 0.25 and negative, we'll just make it a touch. What is this? Wait, that was negative 0.1. So let's go negative 0.08. So it's just a little bit sooner than. Oh, thanks, Colin. Colin Harvey CG is saying you can also replace the value portion of the script with wiggle. So you can add the wiggle directly under the position of the middle part. That or nest the layer in a parent. That's a good question, because if I just put a random wiggle on it, it's not going to be in sync with what's happening on the bike. I kind of want it to respond to the rotation value maybe of one of these with a delay. So actually, let's just do it now since we're here. Oh, by the way, I think that thing I did is just working just fine. That's cool. Hey, it works. It might be a touch too much, but it feels. I want this bike to feel like he glued it together and just almost, oh, not even glued it. It's like held together with wire and spit. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do this because I'm not sure if the director will go for it, but I really want his rocket engine to like kick in as he's going up the steep hill. But the shot would have to be twice as long, so I don't know if I'll get away with it. Okay, let's go to this pipe stuff. And let's get this middle guy going. So I guess the thing we need is if we just take the wiggle guy here, because I'm using this wiggle rotator, at least this is my thought, and correct me if I'm wrong. Um, if I just pull the value, the rotation value from this one and add it to the position value, yeah, wouldn't that be awesome if the rocket kicked in? I think that'd be so rad, and then just have all this like shaking go nuts, like increase the rate, and just have the whole thing rocket going up the hill. Because he's a brilliant scientist, right? So I thought it'd be funny, and it might be really cool. Anyways, both these engines just kicked in, and they just like launched them. I think it'd be so rad. I think it'd be so good. Um, okay. Sorry, I got diverted. I digress. Okay, so we have value. So what I'm wondering is maybe I take. I'm just gonna create the wiggle rotate guy equals this rotation. Actually, Spunrita, what's funny is he in this story, in the actual film, this scientist, the guy that this story is based, he's not based on, he's one of the characters in the film. He's creating this different kind of fusion, and they're using a liquid fusion, and what they're doing is they're compressing fluids to this really dense fluid and using these air pistons. That's what that whole machine is that he's working on. And what's interesting about him is he started building that thing in his garage, and then his company got really big, and now he runs the company out of a building in Vancouver City, like in Vancouver City, and he's bored. So now he doesn't like being a manager. He's finding it really. He really wants to be the guy like screwing things in and doing all these like crazy tests. And so now he flies. I think it's like a Pitts Special or something like that, or like it's an old stunt biplane. So he's actually a really interesting man. So it is in line with his character as this funny scientist with an actual wild side because he's so bored with the work he's doing now, even though it's progressing really well. He he needs to be on the edge somehow, and so now he flies a stunt plane and takes all kinds of risks that way. Okay, so what I'm thinking with this value is maybe we can add. I'm not sure how to do that exactly though. Can we go? I'm just wondering. Plus, it's just the wiggle is like a one. It's one dimension. It's a one-dimensional value. A one-dimensional value, right? So we want it to affect both x and y. Do I have to split? I might have to split the position x, position y, and position z, but then that would mean I would have to add this to each one of those, right? That's what I'm assuming, because right, if I just take have a strict value, unless I create, okay, so I could do this other thing. I'm just brainstorming right now. If I create like a null object, I'm just trying to think of something that's simple to do, um, and we affect that instead. Oh, like that. Okay, cool. You guys are the best. Thanks. Thank you. Spunrita, are you also a coder, or do you seem to know your stuff fairly well here? Value plus we go right. Okay, so that's how you do that. Okay, I was curious about that. Awesome. This is helping me because so what they suggested to me here, what Colin and both Spunrita have suggested, is this right here. So if I want to take this wiggle rotation value, bunk, I can pop it in like that. Whoops. So essentially what I'm saying here is on this is a three-dimensional array, is it? Um, I'm assigning wiggle rotation to its x, wiggle rotation to its y, and then leaving z at 0. So this is also how you can do it without having to go position x plus, it's so that's actually really helpful. Thank you. So that's assigning that to the x, y. So I guess I could affect this independently, but let's just see what this does. It probably won't do much. We have to probably multiply it. I'm just going to make it insane just to make sure it's actually doing something. Cool. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to put a value on it. At time minus 0. We'll just do 0.1 just because I always do it. And then we'll go from there. And I think I'm going to subtract it because I think I want it. Well, I don't know. Let's see how it feels. It's more about it feeling good, not being real. Just feeling realistic. I think I want to go negative because so we'll go -2. I'm going to get all kinds of crazy and apply like smoothing to it and stuff like that. I don't think that's necessary because I also have to drop the bike's animation down to 12 frames per second in the final project. I think I want to offset that time even more. I don't want it to feel even. I should probably apply smoothing to it. I think that looks pretty cool actually. Probably make it a little bit bigger. Like technically, I'm like tempted to put smoothing, but I'm also it could just like dull it out too much and not have that cool like once this is down to 12 frames per second, it'll have a really neat stop motion-y feel to it. I almost like the erraticness of it, but cool. I think it'll look pretty good once the whole bike is bouncing around. I might even I don't know. I have to play with it a little bit. Get the offset of the time just right in a way. That's a good idea actually. Let's add so Colin Harvey CG is saying adding a wiggle onto the parent fade slider might have some interesting effects as well, and I think you're probably right. So um, let's just do that. And do we want to be able to control that wiggle so it's not always wiggle? Well, the bike's riding the whole time. If this were going to be a rig I was going to use in a lot of stuff, I'd probably be a little bit. Let's just go wiggle. We'll go wiggle, and we'll go 3, and we'll go 5. Actually, we'll probably go 10. Let's go 10. This will make it just like all kinds of chaos. Yeah, sorry, Colin, I forgot. You had already mentioned that, and I totally forgot. My brain erased it. I don't know how to say. Ari Lindemar. I don't know how to say your thing. I'm so sorry, but she's saying thank you for all the stuff that we share. It's very inspirational, and the work is awesome. I really appreciate that. Um, I'm learning a lot from everybody on here too, so I'm really glad. I, you guys are really cool. It's really great. So thank you for that. Thank you for the compliment and the feedback. That means a lot. And let us know if you have any questions. Everyone's been helping out so much tonight. It's really great. I'm just gonna tone this down a little bit. Let's tone all of this down a little bit. Are you serious? Colin Harvey CG said that the only reason he's into this is because of the tutorials from a few years back. And man, that's crazy. I'm so happy to hear that. It makes me super excited. And now you're teaching me stuff, which is sick. That's awesome. That's actually that's what I've always hoped for. That was always the big hope is that if I shared a bunch of stuff, because that's how I didn't when I was doing this early back in the day. I tell this story all the time. We didn't have online videos. There was no tutorials, so everything was reading help files, and it was a nightmare. And I really didn't want people to go through that too, because it just adds stress. You know, you're trying to make a movie, it's hard enough, but then not knowing how to use the tools is just that much worse. So, man, that's really exciting that the tutorials helped you get into it, and now you're teaching me all this stuff. Like you're helping me finish a real movie. Like this is going to be in a movie theater, and that's crazy. And I really appreciate it. You guys are, it's really awesome. Okay, so let's do. I'm gonna add a little bump onto these little fenders. I think that's working pretty good. I'm happy with the pipe now. I think it's moving pretty awesome. It's nice too because we have this like, if you look close at it, we get this really cool because of Colin's little code thing. We get this nice organic lumpiness to it. So I think that thing you did is going to be really good for like weird tentacles or strings and stuff. It might be cool, and even to add a lag in it. You know, if we do something where there's like a little linear interpolation or a little bit of a time offset. So if something like a string is being pulled, you could add a lag in between. I can see a lot of application for that. So that's really cool, and thank you for sharing that. Okay, so I'm just gonna put some wiggly things on the fender, and then I really have to stop because it's almost like 2 in the morning. And I got a little fella that I gotta get up and do help get him to daycare and stuff in the morning. Okay, so we're gonna grab all the same stuff that we pulled from before. So we'll grab this, and this. Yeah, splines on characters is pretty nice too, Colin's saying. And yeah, that's actually a really great. There's, you know what? This I think Duick has some spline stuff in there right here for the auto rigging, but I do find it's a little bit counterintuitive for me. I feel like with this the thing that you just threw me here is makes a lot more sense for my brain, and having that little bit of extra control on what is the interpolation between point A and point B. I actually feel like that's a little bit more intuitive than what's happening on this little spline controller. While this is very popular, or not popular, it's very powerful. This Bezier curve function is super powerful, but it's definitely a little bit counterintuitive once you're dealing with bones in a character's spine because it's almost a bit too complicated. Okay. So do any of you guys on the oh sorry that was dumb. Do any of you guys who are here, do you guys use other things other than After Effects? Like is there I'm kind of I'm kind of curious about what everyone's the different software people are using. Um, let's go negative point zero 0.02. Yeah, Colin's saying he's never gotten not I sorry if I'm saying he and there's a she or whatever they. I'm sorry. I it's impossible to tell through screen names. And I tend to default to calling people he because I'm a he, so I just tend to like default to that. Like, you know, I haven't gotten out of that yet. But yeah, Colin's saying that they've never been able to get the do explain to work properly, and neither have I. Like it's always a little it never quite works the way I expect it to. But again, I posed the question especially for Spun Rita Call, and you guys have been pretty active this evening. Are you guys using anything other than After Effects as well? I've been doing Maya tutorials and stuff every now and then. They definitely are not popular because clearly I'm not really a Maya expert in any ways, and I would hazard to say I'm not really much of an After Effects expert either. I always feel like every program you work with, there's so many things. Like every time I hang out with, like I've been using Photoshop since almost like version 2, and every time I sit with somebody, I learn something that I didn't know Photoshop could do. You know, so And that's like people that have just started, some guys that have been at it for as long as me. But I still feel like I'm constantly learning all these things about all these programs, and I'm curious about what other people are using. Because like for anyone that's newer to the world, I'm not quite sure what are the go-to platforms and programs that people are using. I'm checking out this program called Moho, which I've mentioned once before. Someone recommended it to me on here. Um, I'm looking into that as well. I think it looks pretty fun. So Colin Harvey's saying, and I'm repeating at the stream because sometimes if this goes on YouTube, I don't think people can see it. So Colin Harvey's saying that they've got a background in Maya and also some custom software they wrote to help with setting up rigs. I'd be interested to see your custom software, like what kind of stuff you're doing for tools and things. Have you ever thought to sell them at all, like put them on AE scripts or anything like that? It's quite a market, you know, like I buy tools and plugins all the time. Like anything that just helps the process be a little bit faster is, especially when you're in a crunch, you know, and you just don't have time to figure stuff out. It's one of the things I miss about when I was younger. I guess not younger, but like in more of a school environment when I was at the BAMP Center, is I definitely had more time to experiment with stuff a little bit more. So cool. You're polishing them up at the moment, but you plan to publish them on AE scripts. Yeah, I would love to be a beta tester for sure. So once I'm finished we're finishing these two projects. We have this Brown Bear project and this one, and then I'm moving into a short film that I'm directing, which we got funding for, and that's what I'm going to be doing for the next while. And that's like a big blend between Maya and After Effects and all those things. And it's going to give me some more time to experiment, so I'm not always just chasing deadlines. So I'd love to beta test for sure. So Spunrita is saying they mostly use After Effects with Photoshop and Illustrator and sometimes Flash and using Blender. Yeah, you know what? Like, I wouldn't say Maya's not necessarily the go-to solution for 3D. I'm not gonna say it's like it's right or wrong because the reality is everybody's a little bit different. It really depends what program you click with. Um, I think it's really important to pay attention to what you actually click with because some applications will really speak to you while others won't. I definitely Maya, I've been working with it for so long, I'm comfortable with it. But that being said, Blender is pretty powerful. I know a guy I've been working with recently. He's worked with Maya forever, and he's dropped it for Blender. Blender is usually a bit intimidating from my understanding because of the user interface, but their new render engine is super sick. Like it's awesome. I can't remember what they're calling it at the moment. It's like strings or something, or I can't remember what the Blender render engine is, but it looks so good. And it's like Nick, the guy I was talking to, he was demoing it for me, and it looks so good, and it's super easy to use. Um, there's also a whole bunch of stuff. So, um, what is the Cycles? It's called Cycles, and it looks good. Um, the stuff that they're getting out of it looks really good. Like I just pulled this up right now, and it's actually pretty amazing what they're getting out of it. And the guy I was talking to, Nick, he did this really quick animation with these like paint tubes, and it looked like stop motion. And he didn't really mess with the settings or anything, so it was pretty straight out of the engine, and it actually looked really good. Um, so I'm pretty impressed with it. And so there's a bunch of apparently there's some tutorials online and some basic things that will help you get away from. Oh, did I just lose? I might have just lost my Twitch stream or my thread here. So just give me a second. Um, but it helps you get it so that the interface is a little bit more familiar if you're looking for something more familiar. Dashboard. Okay. Sorry, I accidentally logged out of Twitch here. So hopefully I didn't lose all you guys. All right, so but I did lose the chat room thread for a moment, but it might come back once this ad finishes. Okay, so what am I doing? I gotta fix this thing here. There's a little bit of an intersection problem with this. I'm gonna bring this a little more forward. You have to be really careful. If your layers start getting too tight on top of one another, you're definitely gonna get flickering. So I'm straying into that territory very, very much at the moment. So I need to bring this. Yeah, so I've got stuff like I'm gonna have to space things out a little more. Sorry, it's kind of annoying, but I have to space some things out a bit more. Because I got too much stuff close together. So what I was finding was there actually that silver thing looks terrible in front. So actually we don't need to do that. Let's push that back again. That looks awful in front. We want that here. Not there, right about there. I gotta be careful. This is probably gonna cause a flickering problem. In all likelihood, this will end up being a super hassle. But we'll see. Yeah, Colin, I don't know what you're responding to, but that's awesome because I've lost all the chat thread because I accidentally closed in my enthusiasm for cycles, I accidentally closed the window. But I am definitely looking, I want to look at checking out Blender. I also downloaded the indie trial of Houdini, which I'm very curious about because we're working on a series right now, an element, it's called Elemented, and it has these really elaborate environments and backgrounds and stuff like that. And a lot of it I feel like has to be done procedurally because I do a lot of procedural animation and I kind of feel like Blender might be a really good source for that. Okay, cool. So this fender's bouncing around good. Now, the only problem I'm having now is the fender is flickering back and forth. Ugh, we're definitely dealing with like some stacking issues here. Um, so in my effort to get this out of the way, because right now it's like pushing through this covering here. I've really like compressed everything in this really annoying way. So that I'm trying to keep away from everything. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, Spunrita, I would say, okay, so I have been playing with Houdini. I'm really interested in Houdini, but I think Houdini, mm, I really hate giving advice because advice is it's kind of garbage because it really depends on what your life path does. Like I could give you advice of what software to use and I could be totally wrong. Um, I am curious about Houdini for its procedural animation tools and its procedural modeling tools. It's and for its node-based system that where you can do a lot of customization to make it all work together. So it is a little bit more of a coder friendly, coding friendly kind of space. I'm not much of a coder, but it's visual, like it's logic. Um, Blender, I am looking at is also because I feel like I just want to explore it more because it is something that people that are new at stuff use, and I want to make sure that our tools and the techniques we develop moving forward are as accessible as possible, and you're not having to spend a whole bunch of money on an animation package just to get started. After Effects is pretty affordable, relatively, especially on a month by month basis. Um, they have Maya Lite, and Maya Lite does most of the stuff that we work with. So it's great, but Maya is a tricky entry point, and it's not free. So that's one of the things. One of the reasons I want to look at Blender, and Blender is getting better and better, and it will continue to get better. Um, Now Houdini is an outlier because Houdini was from my understanding was always a very big visual effects thing. I mean, it's something that a lot of big studios use. I would say if I were kind of new in the industry, I would definitely look at learning Houdini. I wouldn't prioritize Maya in the same way. Alex PC is asking if I prefer node-based scripting. You know what? I don't. I do and I don't. Node-based seems to be where things are going. Um, and as far as like Mel and Python, I think from my understanding, like I know Mel better because Mel is closer to After Effects expressions. That's Python's a bit of a different beast, but Python you can do more with, from what I understand. Like I don't code that well in Maya, and I think that's the problem. Why I like the sort of visual or node-based scripting. It's something that a lot of game engines do now too. Like I was just, if you follow, I've been following a lot of the Star Citizen stuff, and they're using the Lumberyard. And if you look at Unreal Engine, also uses the blueprint system. And so when you're a bit of a generalist, it's definitely helpful to have a node-based programming where it really comes down to logic. Logic is the foundation, from my understanding, the foundation of coding. But it's also, I wouldn't say like knowing logic, it makes it so that you're useful as a designer. um, but if you know code, I mean, you just knowing how to code and knowing and understanding that is incredibly valuable. I think that's the thing is in this business, it is really hard to find coders. It's super hard to find coders. And it's hard to find people, really hard to find people who know a bit of both, who understand a little bit of the art side, but also get coding, which is a really nice blend. If you have, because I think there's a lot of artists that don't necessarily understand the art of coding and the what it takes to be a good coder and a smart coder, and it's an art form of all of its own. So sorry, I'm going off on a big tangent, but I think yeah, like, so Alex PC is saying that they were using the blueprinting in Unreal, but you feel like Node-based takes a lot away from the user. And I think you're right for sure. It's definitely more for getting you started. I think like getting something in place. And the risk of when you're using node-based stuff, one of the risks of it too is you lose flexibility and you can't necessarily revamp it super easily. So that's definitely something to be wary of. I think like I've been looking. I'm curious. I'm interested in Houdini because it gives you a little bit access to a more robust system. So you guys should look into it because they have Houdini Indie and it's like $99. So it is something to learn. It is definitely. I know some guys that some of the people that work at Rodeo FX here in Montreal, and they do tons of stuff. I think they do stuff for Game of Thrones, like X-Men, all that stuff. And my understanding is that they use a lot of Houdini. Houdini's not just for procedural effects anymore, which it used to be for like lots of really complex physics simulations and stuff like exploding things, and it used to be largely for that. But they're getting more and more into um, rigging and all kinds of other stuff. So it's node-based rigging, so it's interesting. Like you can add what can be really hard in Maya is if you want to, let's say, if you have I don't know, let's say you have a head turning and you want to add uh, something that is affected by that head turning and you want to connect it. There's not you have to connect it through expressions, but you can lose some of the control of the joints that you're connecting expressions to. Because Maya doesn't really let you stack, not easily. It doesn't let you stack controls into a single property box. Does that make sense? Like at least that's been my experience so far. It's not like After Effects where I can take a value and in real time add another value on top of it without everything spinning out of control. When you're dealing with like some node-based stuff, there's definitely common ground where people like use time properties and variables very consistently, like wigglers and things like that. We're just going to use over and over again, and sometimes it's easier just to pipe a wire into it. So, anyways, I'm just going on and on. I'm looking in. I'm trying to, like the main thing is I'm trying to find tools that are super accessible. That's my main interest is accessibility. And one of the things too that we've been working on, I guess like since we're talking about it, let me see if I can find it really quick because I'm gonna go off topic here, but let's just for now I'm just gonna say this bike is mostly finished. It's I still have to parent all the main things to make everything's parented properly, but I feel like all the little things that are wiggling are appropriate. Actually, no, this thing should wiggle a little bit too. So we'll do that really quick. Can I paste that? Yeah, I'm gonna paste that. I'm gonna do that really quick, and then we'll move on to. I want to show you something really quickly, since there's some people here, and then I'll take off. Okay, this is gonna be 0.1. I just want this one to barely move, the chain guard thing. Just want it to move a little bit. We'll make it 0.01. Okay, so now everything, like this is ridiculous. Like we're gonna be pretty far back, but it will influence the overall movement of the feeling of the thing. It's gonna feel less rigid. This kind of movement is really important if you want to get away from really stiff looking animation. So little things like this. So thanks for all the help on this. This is really awesome. So I don't know, like I'm gonna just show you guys something really quickly because there's this thing we're working on. I'm pretty excited about it. Um, Yeah, I'm gonna just make sure I might not have it on this drive, but just let me just double check. There's so many things going on here. Okay, right here. Presentation. I think it's in here. I'm just gonna double check if this is it. So I'm just gonna turn the sound off on this. So we're working on this tool that uses, which you guys, people may already know, but we're working on this thing that actually uses Unity animation, and then you can bring it into Maya. So let me just mute this. So you can take a character like this I rigged up in Unity really quick, and then I used it to drive a character in Maya. So you can take, so with this tool we're making, you can take a whole scene and you build these we have these little listeners that you assign. It's just this little control right here. You really quickly add things, and then using the game engine, you play a scene, and then you can record that and bring all that animation into Maya. So there it is in Maya, and the characters and everything can run around and do everything they want. You can bring it into Blender too. You can bring it into wherever you want because we're exporting an FBX file. So we keep all the bones and the geometry and all the animation. But the goal of this is to make the animation process a little more simple. So our next stage that we're looking at is we're going into Unity and we're looking at creating more intuitive animation tools and controls. So for instance, you have this character. This is a puppet rig that I built really quickly. And I was using some third-party plugins just to set up this character because I'm not much of a coder in Unity. But I was able to build this little ball thing and this character looking at this ball. It's a really basic function. So with the system we're developing is you could record in a number of layers and takes. So this could be take one, or I record where the character's head looks, and then in take two, or I could assign to a button for blinking, and then I could do another take. So you can kind of stack animation. Um, and then what you can do is right now, this is quite manual because I haven't set up the tools for it, but essentially I can assign that animation now to a fully animated rig in Maya. And this rig has cloth simulations. It could have muscles. This one doesn't have muscles because this is for a project I'm working on. But there's this complex cloth going on this character's neck. And this allows me to take that directed animation that I used in Unity and just quickly apply it to a cinematic rig in Maya. And you can see her eyes are working away and her whole little rig is going. So as when I'm talking about platform, when you're worried about what platform to look at or what is the most effective thing to get involved with 3D or animation, I would say there isn't any one specifically. Definitely need to do research of what part of the industry you want to be involved in, because even for us, we're moving now into Unity as a possible animation tool, and so now we're just like now we're in a position of like looking at coding in Unity and how can I build better animation tools and have that port over to Blender, port over to Unreal. Like how can we take all that stuff and move it over? So Anyways, that's just a tirade, kind of what we've been working on. I'm really excited to get into it because that we're going to use all those tools to actually make a film. So it'll be actually really fun. Okay, so I think I'm going to stop. I think everything's working on this bike. I think possibly that rocket engine thing's moving a little too much. And thanks to this nice little code thing, we can tone this down a bit. Cool. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna say thanks. Oh wait, Alex PC is saying, yeah, I was blueprinting in real. Oh yeah, we already talked about that. Okay, so thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate all the help. It was super awesome. I think this thing looks really rad, and I think we sped through something that I kind of figured would take a lot longer. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out, and hopefully I'll be doing this again really soon. We're going to set up our schedule ASAP because we're really working hard at becoming. We want to become a bit more of a what is it called, a Twitch partner kind of thing. So we do have to set up a regular schedule. That's all coming just on the last push on these big projects. So it's not really a good time to be trying to set a schedule. So thanks again. I really appreciate it, guys. You guys are awesome. So I will, yeah, I'll be on again tomorrow. I hope. See ya. Bye.